The LGBTQ community is no stranger to the phrase "pray away the gay," an expression talking about the idea of conversion therapy. And it's the notion that someone's sexuality or gender identity can be changed through therapy, religious counseling, or other practices that are just downright abusive. New tonight, though, Queen City News anchor Annie Satowski explores how conversion therapy finds its way to churches and one state senator's mission to ban it in North Carolina.
It's the wild, wild west out there for what you might be subjected to.
Natasha Marcus, state senator for Mecklenburg County, wants to end conversion therapy in the Tar Heel state.
I like to put conversion therapy in air quotes because it's not therapy and it's not going to convert anyone.
In March, Senator Marcus introduced the Mental Health Protection Act in the General Assembly, which would in part prevent licensed therapists from performing conversion therapy on minors and adults with disabilities and suspend their license if they do.
Sometimes shock therapy or sleep deprivation, shaming techniques, hypnosis sometimes, to try to get people to change their sexual orientation or gender expression.
In 2019, Governor Roy Cooper signed an executive order that keeps state funding from being used to pay for conversion therapy for minors. But that's where protections stop.
Several other states have these laws on the books already to protect youth in their state from this harmful practice. North Carolina needs to step up and do the same.
The practice has been discredited by the American Medical Association and American Psychological Association. But if this latest measure were to pass, it wouldn't restrict religious groups from counseling their members about their sexual identity.
There are so many people that want to explore faith, but also don't want to be bashed for who they are and how we believe God made them.
Some churches are more accepting than others, and it's in the shadows of the latter that conversion therapy often happens.
From those who said, I went to that first meeting and knew this isn't right, and left, to others who said, I stayed, I did talk to them, they said they loved me, but I needed to keep praying that this was my personal demon that I would have to wrestle with for the rest of my life.
As the minister of youth and college students at Myers Park Baptist Church, Reverend Tara Gibbs has heard countless stories from people whose church's arms aren't really open to everyone.
Once it became public that this person was gay, then their church cut them off. They were no longer an employee. They were no longer a part of their community. And that's a hurt that we have to deal with here.
She says having that community ripped away can be traumatic.
They start to wonder, am I lovable? Does God love me? Can I be Christian or religious and identify as LGBTQ+?
According to a study from the Trevor Project published in the 2018 American Journal of Public Health, LGBTQ youth who underwent conversion therapy were more than twice as likely to attempt suicide and 2.5 times as likely to report multiple attempts.
We need to protect kids, not tell them there's something fundamentally wrong with them, to the point where they feel like ending their life is a better option.
And hearing people, how they cried nightly as young people or even as adults, wanting God or the divine to take away their sexuality, and in some cases, unfortunately, to take their life if that's what it meant.
So where could the idea of homosexuality being a sin come from in a biblical sense? Depending
on which translation, which is an interpretation, someone may find a writing from Paul that says homosexuality is the term that's used in the King James Version is an abomination. But again, without that further step, that nuance, that actual reading into the original writings, people are reading what someone else translated centuries ago and assuming that it is literal.
Reverend Gibbs is quick to point out that lines get drawn over interpretations of Scripture, not the words themselves.
A lot of times the homophobia and bigotry we see in churches is not anywhere in Scripture. It's not the teachings of Jesus. It's the unfortunate and ignorant teachings of some leaders who have perpetuated this cycle of their own homophobia and bigotry to the point that it's literally traumatizing and causing suffering to parishioners.
And while some groups work to make their circle tighter, Myers Park Baptist is trying to make theirs bigger, from their colorful logo to their highest levels of leadership.
There is someone else. There's someone who looks like you. There's someone from your same background. I'm a black woman who's bisexual, right? We've had deacons who are identified as open LGBTQ persons. We've had the chair of our deacons identify as LGBTQ+, and myself as on staff as a minister, as an out LGBTQ+ person.
It's their simple but impactful way, without laws and red tape, to protect and uplift the LGBTQ community, when some won't.
Yes, you can be Christian and you can be gay. Yes, you can be Christian and you can be queer. You don't have to pick one or the other. You can live, you can thrive, be who you are, be who God made you, and be in community with people who love, support, and affirm you.
Annie Satowski, Queen City News.